Thank you for tuning in to Just to Let You Know. We have a really special guest today. I'm excited to do this podcast. Polly Betzner Walshin. She wrote a book, and it's called Daddy Issues. Now, I know what you're thinking. Daddy issues, what does that mean? Well, her father was a #1 drug dealer in the United States. And if your dad is that, you probably have daddy issues. This is her book. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about the story of the daughter of the biggest drug dealer in America, U.S. history. So let's take it from there. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. That was a fun intro.
That's
Appreciate
a fun intro.
that.
And you also have it in Spanish, right?
I do. This is in Spanish.
okay.
Here it is right here. If you get over here, it's in Spanish.
Yeah.
You see that?
You got daddy issues? Well, let's hear about your issues. And well, let's start at the beginning. We always like to start at the beginning.
Yeah.
You're a kid.
Yeah.
When did you find out, or how did you know, or that your father was a drug dealer?
Well, there's a current documentary that was shot here in San Diego called The Invisible Pilot that sort of tells it, but it doesn't tell it from really my point of view.
And we want to hear your point of view.
Yeah. So my parents were divorced when I was like 8 months old, and I had the standard 70s visit, whenever. But then my mom was like, well, you can't really be around this guy very much, So we moved from Arkansas to Memphis. And then my dad would come over and he would visit, and he liked to smoke weed. And my mom was like, that can't be around my daughter. She had helped start Federal Express, so she was very successful, very straight. And when they were married, he was a crop duster. So she knew him as being straight too. But after they got divorced, he got more wild. And so I just kind of didn't see him very much until I was like almost 7. Like my last physical memory of him before he did what he did when I turned 7 was my mom picked me up at it was like 3 in the morning. I had my little nightgown on, little pink curlers in my hair, and she drove me right to, in Memphis, you could drive on the tarmac because my mom worked for Federal Express, so we could drive right up on the tarmac and put packages on the planes and everything because Fred Smith and her were very good friends. And my dad was there in a plane. He had like a perm, he had a fur chinchilla coat on, he had a Rolex on, and my mom and I were
Dressing like a pimp.
Well,
he
Frank
was dressing
dresses
just like a
That's
pimp.
just a regular Saturday night for Frank.
Oh, yeah.
I heard about that. I got to see
And
this.
platform shoes.
I love that. I bet you look super cute at Lips. I knew I saw you at Lips. I knew
Those
it.
long extended cigarette things.
I love that. So anyway,
Okay, wait, hold on. You said your mom was good friends with Fred.
Yeah.
Well, I
Who's
used
that?
to call him
Who's Fred?
Uncle Freddie, who started Federal Express. Fred Smith started Federal Express
Oh, okay.
in Arkansas.
Oh.
So his
So
mother.
she was at the beginning of Federal.
Yeah,
Okay,
she was
FedEx.
employed like 68.
Wow.
So my his mom was my mom's best friend, and she was my godmother.
Right.
So I grew up knowing, and I called him Uncle Freddie.
Okay.
So it's like a
You're
whole
in,
Memphis
right.
thing, And so so anyway, we pull up on the tarmac. He walks out. My mom's like, "You can't come. Like you got to stay in the car." So I just remember like waving, and he waved, and then that was it. I didn't see him anymore after that until I was almost 16. And so my mom gets in the car and she has a check, and it was for like $1,000. It wasn't for anything. She was like, "We're going to be fine now." I mean, really, child support for $1,000?
So your dad got on the plane and split? Is that what happened?
Yeah, you got on the plane and
So
split.
your last memory is him wearing a chinchilla coat, a Rolex watch,
Perm.
a perm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to do that back in that.
It does it with the 80s, right?
Yeah.
No, this was in
70s.
74, 75.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
during the disco years.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He was heavy into all that. So I didn't see him anymore. I didn't see him anymore until I was in England, Arkansas. And I was born in Little Rock, but I was raised in Memphis, but my grandparents are from England, Arkansas, and we own like J2LYK in England, Arkansas. It's still open today. It's amazing. And that's where like I call home, really.
Got it.
Because that's where all my family was. So on Thanksgiving, the front page of the paper in Arkansas says that my dad had committed suicide and he had jumped off the bridge. So that's not how I found that out, but that is how I knew.
So that's
the bridge.
Yeah, show a picture of the bridge. Is that bridge still there?
Yeah, that's the White River Bridge in Arkansas, in Des Arc, Arkansas.
How high is it?
It looks
I mean, it's
about,
like 40 feet, 50
Yeah.
feet.
So you can.
You could kill yourself if you dove like an idiot. Yeah, you
Yeah,
could totally
break
kill
your
well,
neck.
listen,
yourself.
most people, I mean, who knows? You could be on drugs and then
Right.
jump off.
Yeah.
You're not.
Well, my pastor came and told me told me. I mean, it was in the paper in Arkansas, but my pastor came to my house in Memphis. It was like raining. He was an old Baptist pastor, so he had like a leather Bible. I had a suit on. And he comes to the house and he's like, I have some news for you. And it was my birthday.
How old were you?
I was 7. And it was actually my birthday.
When you were 7, the pastor came to your house and said, I got news for you.
I thought he was going to give me a present. I had no idea. He's like, your
Happy
dad has
birthday.
committed suicide.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
I was like, what? What does that mean?
Right.
And so in that moment, I really believed, and they said, he's dead. He's no longer with us. He jumped off a bridge. And instead of like crying, I just remember kind of, and this is what happens with a lot of people, they detach from their emotions. When something traumatic happens in your life, you do one of two things. You really connect with it and you work through it, or you go into that hiding place and you detach from it. So I detached. I went upstairs and played Barbies for like 2 days. Like back then it was, you have the Barbie dream house and you have the RV, and that's all I did is play Barbies for like 2 days. My mom was like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. But that created like a rift inside myself because they drug the river for the body. There was no body. There was a funeral, but there was no body. I didn't go to the funeral, but they did something. So it was just a lot of like nothing. It was just silent.
Stress and trauma.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, it's sad.
Yeah.
To have a 7-year-old girl. I mean, I have 2 daughters.
Yeah. Could you imagine that on their birthday?
No, that would be the worst thing you can do on a birthday.
Yeah.
You think you're going to get a present, and the guy shows up and says, your dad's dead, he killed himself?
Yeah.
Like, what?
You don't even know what suicide is at 7.
But I do remember the Barbie dollhouse and the Barbie mobile home that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Because Frank used to play with them.
Yeah.
Did you? But you should. They're so fun.
Oh, that was great.
I mean, every guy should play with Barbies and Ken. They're fun. It's creative, But there was lots of fun, weird things that happened from the time he was dead until he came back to life.
Oh.
Whoa.
Resurrected.
What
He
happened?
resurrected like Lazarus.
When?
So during all those years, my mom would sleep with a gun under her pillow because we would get weird phone calls at night, right? I slept with my mom every night because I was
What
mortified.
kind of weird phone calls?
Like heavy breathing on the phone, like weird.
Yes.
You know,
we used to call.
I thought it was crank calls.
Yeah.
we used
Do
to
you remember
call the
making that call, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
They used to be called obscene phone calls, but you had no way to track
No
them.
way to track them.
Yeah, no way to track them. There was no caller
People
ID.
call up and just do weird stuff on the phone.
No blocking their call.
No, there was
So
nothing.
growing up, we had the regular telephone with a
Yeah.
long kind of cord on it, and then the big invention was call waiting. When you click the little button,
Oh yeah, that was so
you're like,
cool.
wait, I can actually answer a call when somebody else is calling?
Yeah.
Most of the people don't even understand what that was like. It was revolutionary.
It was revolutionary, especially if you're like 12 years old and you're trying to like date 2 different guys,
Remember when you had the phone on the wall and then you just made the extension really, really long, that cord
Yeah,
so
oh,
it could
yeah.
walk to your refrigerator and go to the back. You still attached.
And it would spin up in a little circle and get all tied up.
I wish
Yes.
they still had that. Honestly, I think our life would be way easier.
I don't even think many people have landlines anymore.
And it's $50
Yeah.
to get a freaking landline in San Diego from AT&T, and you can only get it from AT&T. So anyway,
Careful not hitting the table because it's going in the microphone. That sound. Just letting you know.
I'm just like a judge thing.
We need to put like
A pad.
I won't
pad
do
in
it.
there, right.
I'll keep
That's
my hands.
okay.
No,
I'll
you
keep my
could do
hands
it.
on.
you could do it. But
I always want to beat the table. I don't know.
like,
It's just like a
God
drama
dang it.
thing, you know?
Yeah. Boom.
Okay, so listen, you're 7 years old. All of a sudden, you find out. At
Yep.
what age was your dad resurrected?
I was almost 16.
So you're almost 16, and how did you get that word?
I'll tell you the weird stuff that happened in the middle too about getting
Right.
kidnapped,
Okay.
a bunch of weird stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Crazy fun
Okay, let's
stuff.
start. Okay, let's go back.
Okay,
You're
let's
Okay.
7
go
years
back to
old.
7 years old.
Okay.
Pastor, leather Bible,
Yep.
Baptist.
Yep. So I went
Birthday.
to Christian school in Memphis, and I was wild at home, and then a good little Christian girl at school because I always felt weird, like everybody was married at my school except for my mom, but my dad was dead,
Right.
So
she's a widow.
she's a widow, and so it just always felt weird. So one day at school, they said, you have to be locked down. Like, you can't leave. And mom was afraid somebody was going to kidnap me. I guess she got a really weird phone call at work that, like, they were on my way. They showed her a picture. They knew who she was, knew who I was. So they locked my school down. Well, she was extra scared because just like a year before that, we were at Wendy's. I might have been like 11 or 10. And we always went to Wendy's. That was my place. We went to Wendy's like twice a week,
They have
right?
the best malts.
And they have the cheeseburger, just mustard. It's
Don't they have the
delicious.
square patties?
Yes, and a Frosty. They're
Yeah.
so
The
good.
Frosties that you...
I remember that Frosty you could turn upside down.
Yeah, you put a
It
straw in it, you
stays.
blow
Right,
your eye
stays.
socket out trying to suck it,
Right. Yeah. You
trying to get anything out. That's why they gave you a spoon. You could
Yeah.
not suck a Wendy's malt
Yeah,
through
no.
the straw.
No, you
The
can't.
straw would collapse.
And
You're
then
like,
you got that. Yeah.
No.
The freeze when you eat that stuff.
yeah, brain freeze.
Okay, so anyway, I love it. It's like I'm working with two chipmunks. You guys keep going down to different trails. It's so fun.
We go all sorts of places.
I love it. So anyway, so there was two men dressed really weird at Wendy's. I'd never seen them before. Long black hair, trench coats. They kept asking me if I was okay because I was coughing. I thought that was really weird. So a week later, there was no internet back there to look up people where they live or anything like that. They showed up at my mom's house with those trench coats on, and they wanted a picture of me. They wanted to know who I was, like how I'd been doing. And my mom's like, "How did you find us?" She's like, "They're like, oh, we took a picture of your license and went to the DMV and looked up."
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
bullshit.
Total BS.
Right.
Yeah.
Total BS. And so my mom was like, "Get out of here." Well, later in the movie, we find out that they worked for the Colombian cartel.
Oh,
And that
not
they were
good.
coming to get a picture of me to go show it to my dad when he was underground. During that time, he was a drug, he was selling drugs, to show him, hey, I'm going to get your daughter, the one that you don't ever talk about. Because he had two kids after me and had one before me. But they knew about them, but I was kind of like the secret kid, even though he was married. So that was really crazy. So back to when he came back to life.
Right.
I was in Arkansas at my grandparents' house, and then that's when the newspaper came in that it said Gary Wayne Betzner indicted for possession of 1,000 kilos of cocaine in Lake City, Florida. So that's when I found out he was alive, was from the newspaper in Arkansas.
Okay, what was that headline again?
Gary Wayne Betzner indicted for the possession of 1,000 kilos of cocaine in Lake City, Florida.
So he was arrested.
Yeah, he was arrested.
1,000 kilos back then. My God.
That
That's
was like
a
a
lot.
small. That was like
1,000
that was like a
kilos.
small load.
Was he a
Oh, my
pilot?
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a crop duster.
So he was a crop duster.
Yeah, they hired him. Hey.
So what
Fly
happened, if you watch the show, The Invisible Pilot, you'll see what happened is he got arrested and he was looking to do time in Arkansas. And because he was looking to do time, he was like, screw it, I'm going to fake my death so I don't have to go do time.
Right.
And then he kind of went underground and sold weed and lived in Hawaii, and he was on the run. Well, when he was in Hawaii with my half brother and half sister and my stepmom, they got in trouble for something. He knew like, oh, they're going to know my fingerprints, so we got to get the heck out of Hawaii. So they left. He left the kids there and her, and he went to Florida because he heard somebody needed somebody to work on a plane.
Oh.
It happened to be George Morales, who knew Pablo Escobar, and then that's how he got connected. And because he was a crop duster, they're amazing at flying under radar.
Cocaine.
Oh yeah, I've watched crop dusters.
Yeah.
They're really good pilots. I mean, they keep looping. They loop. They go down low.
Was he one of the cocaine cowboys? There's a movie called Cocaine
I don't
Cowboys.
think so.
Those are those guys who would get in those planes, American guys.
Well,
They got hired. There's a couple interviews on those guys.
They had to fly in the Florida Keys, and they would stay really low,
Yeah,
just
really low,
right
right
above
under-
sea
right.
level. And then sometimes, if you got a swell, you never knew you could
Bleep it.
bottom out,
Right.
and just boom, you're done.
Right.
A lot of planes crashed.
He did like 150 to 200 runs in those 9 years.
Where did he go when he was doing the runs?
Well, in the beginning, he went to,
Just Florida?
to Chile, and then he would come up through Florida and drop it off. And then when he got in trouble, when he got actually in trouble with the CIA, found out about what he was doing, they're like, hey, you can either come work for me or you're going to go to prison.
Work
and
for the
that's when,
CIA?
And that's when the Oliver North thing happened.
Oh, the Iran-Contra scandal.
So he started being able to fly guns down to Costa Rica, to John Hull Ranch, and he would drop off guns, mines, all kinds of stuff, and then he was able to bring cocaine back. And he had like a secret whistle that he would do to the flight towers, like, and they would just like let him land.
Oh, you just gave away that secret.
Yeah, well,
That's-
it's on show. It's on the show, so it's fine.
No, just kidding.
It's a little different now. They don't got the whistle. They can just text. They're coming in.
Coming in, yeah.
Okay, but
With,
think
you know,
about
bird
that.
phone.
So Oliver North got in big trouble
Right.
for doing that because what they were doing were they were supporting the Sandinistan
Right,
rebels,
subsidizing the
but
funds.
Congress would not give them money,
Right.
because Congress is the one who holds the purse. So they go, well, how can we get money there and bypass Congress?
Right. Sell drugs.
Use the money from drugs
Right.
To fund the guns.
to fund the guns.
Allow the people to go back and forth like her dad, take a cut.
So who was the president back then? Was that
That was Bush. Hello.
yeah
Mr. Evil number
the
one.
first Bush?
Yeah, he knew about all of it. He knew all about the Iran-Contra scandal. It went all the way up to the president, for sure. So when they busted him, the last time that they got him, because he flew in and George Morales had already gotten busted, and so he was going to go down
Who's
too.
George Morales?
He was the connection to Pablo Escobar, but also the connection to the CIA. So they got him first. He was like a huge boat. He had those big expensive boats, and he would race cigarette boats in Miami. So he kind of was fast and furious like that, but he got his money from selling drugs. So he went down first, and then my dad went down, and then they're sitting in prison like, wait a minute. I ran the guns down for the government. Right. I brought the cocaine back for myself and for the government, and now I'm in prison? This is BS.
Right.
So they started writing letters, like physical letters, to every single news anchor out there. And their story got big. It got really big. So if you Google Gary Betzner, Iran-Contra scandal, you can see it on YouTube. He's literally in front of the Senate investigating hearing with John Kerry, giving his testimony, like, hey, this is how many guns we took. This is how many runs we did. This is what the authority who gave it to us. Like, they told the whole story, everything.
So your dad worked for the CIA. He was
Right.
Literally an employee. He's a pilot for the CIA.
So you get a W-2 form?
Exactly.
Right?
1099 him. He's an independent contractor.
You only get that if you're the middle class. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
They only do that for the middle class
It's
these days.
cash.
So Pablo Escobar then by de facto was working for the CIA.
No, because he was still flying for him part-time, but he kind of gave that gig up once he had to do for the CIA. He's like,
Yeah, he
I
gave it
can't do
up.
it for you anymore.
Well, did
Because he didn't want to, and he was very loyal, even though my dad is a schmuck about a lot of stuff. He was a very loyal man when it came to business. Like, he didn't want anyone to find out anything about Pablo Escobar, any of his runs. He created all the runs for Pablo Escobar, taught the pilots how to fly, where they could come in, where they could come out. He had like a whole artillery of airplanes of like 20 different pilots, 20 different airplanes. And my dad was the captain that told them all how to do it, where to go. But when he got the orders from the CIA, he was like, I can't do this for you anymore. Like,
Right.
You're going to get busted, and I'm not doing that. Because he didn't want to risk his family, too.
Now, these two guys that showed up at your house, were they using the pictures of you to kind of control your dad to say that, hey, if you don't do what we say, this girl's dead?
Yep, exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
Not good. Not
That's
good.
the little daughter he tried to hide. That's why he didn't want
You
to
think
deal
you
with
have
her.
daddy issues?
Right. There's an issue.
Right. That's a big issue.
Now, your daddy has a lot of issues.
Did your daddy have a lot of issues?
No, I was just talking to you. But,
No, he's just making a comment.
right. We don't know. Mark was adopted.
The
and
police
he-
left me at the doorstep,
Yeah, we're not sure.
but they kept me.
Yeah, we're not
Oh,
sure.
that
where
was
it came
nice
from.
of him.
Yeah.
Oh, you're cute, though. You seem
Well,
like a
the
nice
first time
guy.
we went to the zoo, they looked at Frank and they go, "Thanks for bringing him back."
Yeah.
Wait, what animal? What animal were they into?
Chimp.
Oh, you do not look like a chimp. I don't know what animal you could be.
Mark.
I
What?
think.
Mark's trying to be a part-time comedian. That's why he's doing YouTube podcasts. 'Cause
Exactly.
He won't make it on stage. No, I'm
I
kidding.
can make it.
You could make it on stage. You could do it. I want to do, well, maybe
Go ahead.
Christian comedy because I don't want to like cuss too much, but it's so hard because I have so much content. It's so hard like not to be vulgar, you know?
It's impossible. Well,
It's very hard to be funny
you
and
can-
not be
you can
vulgar,
be
but I
funny and
would
not be
like to
vulgar.
be funny and not be vulgar. That would be my goal.
It's impossible to be a comedian these days. You're going to say one thing and then you're done.
Yeah.
it's
Well,
so
there's some
bad.
people that say things and they're like, whoa, I can't believe we just said it, but you're all thinking it, you know?
Right, exactly. That's how it always is.
Yeah.
It'll probably come back. I hope comedy
It's
stays.
going the other. It's kind of the pendulum's going the other way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, let's go back to your dad.
Yep. So he came back to life when I turned 15, and I found out from the paper, and my mom immediately took me to Jacksonville, Florida, because they had him there. And I remember it was like in a library because it was the feds, you know, so it was like a federal building. So I mean, granted, I thought he was dead for 9 years. So when I walk in, he has chains on his hands and chains on his feet.
Shackles.
Oh yeah.
How'd that make you feel? I mean, not the shackles,
Are
but
you my therapist?
well, yeah. Please expound on that.
I love that.
Do you need a
I'll tell
Xanax?
you.
No, I'm kidding.
I don't
No.
need any Xanax.
How'd
Thank you
feel?
so much. I'll
No,
tell you how I felt.
When you think your dad's dead,
Yeah.
you're 7, you're
Yeah.
playing with Barbies for 2 days, your mom knows something's going on because you're
Yeah.
in your room for 2 days.
Yeah.
You had to have some type of PTSD, which they didn't even have, name it back then.
Oh,
but
yeah.
you had some type of trauma.
Oh, for sure.
So so a couple years goes by. Okay, my dad's dead. You get used to it. I'm the one out of school. Everyone's doing daddy-daughter stuff. I can't do it. I feel a little left out. And all of a sudden, you find out your daddy's alive.
Yeah.
I mean, really, how'd you feel? That's just
I just was like,
not like
I just looked at the cop in the face. I was like, how dare you? I said, you better take the chains off my dad's arms and off his feet right now. I thought my dad was dead for 9 years. I deserve a hug.
okay.
Did they do it?
Yeah.
Oh.
They took him off. I said, I deserve a hug.
So between
I was just like crying.
How'd your dad react?
He was just
Emotional?
like, because I was named after his mom. So that was the only woman he ever like really, really, really respected. And she died a year before I was born. So he really wanted to get my mom pregnant because he thought like I was going to be the embodiment of his mother,
Polly.
you know? Mm-hmm. So I'm named after her. And so when he saw, he just started crying. He was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I was like, why did you leave me? Like why? Why did you take the other 2? You didn't take me. What was wrong with me?
Yeah.
Because I was 15. That's what you think. What's wrong with you?
Right. It's your fault.
Yeah.
You did something.
So between the ages of 7 and 15, did your mom put you in counseling, or were you like a wild kid?
I was a wild kid.
Like, what do you mean by wild?
Oh, my God.
Like, did you
So-
sneak out of your house at
Oh
night?
yeah, smoke pot with all the neighbors. Like I only stole something one time and I got caught because I was really like ashamed. I mean, we were in church on Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. I went to Christian school. My mom was a Sunday school leader. She was like an outstanding, citizen. You know, she was amazing. And I'd go to school and feel weird because I had this little thing. I kind of thought my dad maybe was alive. I just didn't know. Right. But I always felt something was wrong with me. I mean, I had other things happen as a young kid too that wasn't just with my dad. Mm-hmm. Things that happened to me when I was like little that affected me also. But the main issue was really about my father, And so I just would like smoke. I'd come home from school. My mom thought she could trust me. I would just like drink all the vodka and put water in it.
Did you think that the reason why, because Frank and I, we just did a podcast with a vet, Vietnam vet.
Yeah.
Do you think that you were self-medicating to kind of mask the
Oh,
pain?
of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, I was like, I had to be the best at everything. Soccer, gymnastics, anything I was in, I had to be like the very best. But I would sabotage things too, Like I would push the envelope. Like if somebody's going to do a flip on a motorcycle, I'm going to do like a double one, But I never got hurt. Nothing ever really, really bad happened to me. It was a miracle. Like honestly, I should be dead 100 times.
Do you think that you had that incident that with your dad, it raised, like, did you have anxiety or depression or both?
Yeah, I've gone through that. I mean, my book is about like my heavenly Father, finding out that I have a dad in heaven that always loved me and never left me, and so I have a lot of faith.
So God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I believe that God, that Jesus loves me so much that he never left me and he never forsake me and he never ever left me, that everything that happened to me was a ploy of Satan to bring me down so that I wouldn't do what I was called to do on this earth. But what can be your mess in your life can be your message to help other people. So that's really like everything I've gone through. Like that's why I wrote the book, is really because I want people to understand, like, you don't have to be your story. You can help other people through all the stuff you've created yourself. All the stuff I did myself. I knew better than to do a lot of things I did, but I did it because
you had
I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah, well,
You're a
there's
kid.
a lot of things going on.
Even as an adult, I made really stupid choices.
So how big of a factor do you think religion played in you being able to sit here and talk about this today?
It is the only reason why I'm free. Mm-hmm. It is the only reason. I mean, I think I tried antidepressants once and they gave me a seizure, you know what I mean? So I was like, that's done.
Yeah.
Like I've done tons of drugs in my life. Yeah. Like that didn't do anything except for lead me to the wrong guy to marry, you know? Even though I have 2 beautiful kids from that marriage, it definitely was like a hard marriage, But like all the crazy choices I've made throughout my life were all to sabotage myself because I felt like I wasn't enough for my dad. Right. It all goes back to that. And the minute I got the distinction, like actually when I wrote the book and I've done Landmark and hypnotism and therapy and like anything you could imagine I've done to like help get over myself. But when I started like dealing with, and I've always been saved, right? But when I really got like, oh, God really loves me. It wasn't me. It had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with him. You know, he just left. He did not leave me.
Gotcha.
It wasn't because I wasn't cute enough or
Right.
sweet enough or fun enough. So I've spent my whole life trying to prove that I was enough for a lie that I believed in my brain about my dad.
Right.
You know?
So did you have abandonment issues?
Oh my God, yes.
And did they impede your ability to be close to people?
No, I was always able to get really close to people. Like I've always been really personal. That's never been my problem. But I did impede my problem myself with being able to be close to men and let them in all the way. Because I always thought they would leave too.
Right. That's what I mean.
You know, so I'd always leave first.
That's one of the daddy
Correct.
issues.
Yeah.
That's
I always leave first. I wouldn't I wasn't like,
Yeah.
let someone break my heart. I would just stop my emotions before I would go too deep.
So the guy would be sitting there and everything is going good, and then all of a sudden you just go,
I'm done.
Get out of my
bye
house.
bye. And you're like, what did I do? And like,
Just kind of like, you know, I tell you, before I got married this last time, we met when we were 18. So he found me like on Facebook, and he would drive down from LA for 6 months every weekend. I was like, I'm not going to sleep with you till we're married. And he got a house down the street from my mom, and then we went and got married, and then I moved in with him. But I dated a guy right before him. That was the nicest guy, I'm telling you. Like, rented like motorcycles and took me to the desert and had like white tablecloth dinners and like got macaroons for my daughter when she had surgery. And then I was just like, I just don't think you're the one. I mean, and he was really a nice guy. I mean, my husband now, he's a good guy, but it's been a lot of work.
well, that's where they get that thing. Nice guys finish last.
Yeah, but they really
So
shouldn't.
sad.
Like, honestly, if women can fix their issues, and men too, with either their mother or their dad, and get a grip on their identity of who they really are, they don't have to make choices of picking people that are going to run them through the mill. You know what I mean? They can just pick a nice guy and enjoy their life.
If you had to give advice to a woman who is experiencing some type of daddy issues to get over it, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, that you were created for a purpose, that it was not your fault, whatever your dad did to you. If he ignored you, if he beat you, if he molested you, if he left you, if he picked another family over you, it had nothing to do with you. And that you need to understand that it is their issue, whether you get an apology from your father or not, or whether he'll admit to what he did wrong or not. It is not the issue. That you are created to make a difference in the world, and the only person in the whole world that can make the difference that you will is you. So you have to understand how powerful you are as a woman and how you were created, and let go of being a victim and just start to love yourself for who you are and who God made you to be. That's what I would tell them.
That was really good.
Yeah, it's a really good message.
That was super cool message right
Oh,
there.
thanks.
Very kind.
Let's go back to the trench coat guys. That's
Yeah.
where we left
Oh,
off.
you like the trench
Yeah.
coat
Well,
guys?
okay, so the trench coat guys,
Yeah.
they're trying to get your photo.
Yep.
They missed the opportunity at your mom's house.
Yep.
You're at Wendy's.
Yep. They still had a picture because it's in the TV show, The Invisible Pilot. They still had a picture of me because they
you're
showed
at-
it to my
you're-
dad.
You're at Wendy's coughing, and they go, "Are you okay?"
Yeah. They just kept asking,
Yeah.
how's she in school?
And what they look like?
They had like long black hair, like back in a ponytail, long black trench coats, the whole thing.
And they're sent down from the cartel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, get a snapshot so they can use it against.
But they
your
were
dad.
not from Pablo Escobar's cartel. They were
Okay.
not from the Sinaloa cartel. They were not from that.
Okay.
So that's the scary part.
Yeah.
Probably some like opposite gang member.
Yeah, competitive.
But nothing ever happened. I never got like kidnapped. I never like horrible things could have happened. I felt like I was always protected. Even though a lot of things happened, I was always protected.
Okay, so you see your dad. He's in chains.
Yeah.
They take him off. He gives you a hug.
Yeah.
What happened after that?
My mom took me to every single prison pretty much in America over the next 9-10 years.
So your dad was being transferred to different
Oh,
prisons.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is that for security purposes?
Oh, yeah. Well, he tried to escape. So he
He was a wild man.
yeah, he paid off, like, I don't know who he paid off. He paid somebody a bunch of money to fly a helicopter in to the prison and pick him up. So he was waiting for the helicopter to come, and it landed. And when he went to go get in, it was like, the warden and like two other person, and whoever he paid like took the money. So yeah, he tried to escape tons of times.
Was he ever concerned that the drug cartel would kill him because he
No.
may say something?
No, he was because he was so loyal to Pablo Escobar, like that he took this other job with the CIA and never, ever, ever spilled his beans. The only person who ever spilled the beans on was the government. And that's honestly scarier than the cartel because they're more shady because it really is happening.
Right.
But it's underground and they don't want to tell anybody about it because it really is. They really did know about. You really think that we're not going to get a piece of $1 trillion business with drug smuggling in the United States? I mean, just, the war on drugs is a joke. You know?
We're losing it.
It's been going on forever.
Since Nixon, he called it.
Yeah.
The war on drugs is called greed.
And that's why people say just legalize drugs. People are going to take them anyway. And you get rid of the black
Well, I had
market,
this
but you
conversation.
don't.
I had this conversation. In fact, this morning, because of fentanyl, that when the government decided to tighten up restrictions on all the opioids because we're in an opioid crisis and people, but
They opened the
people
market
could
for
eat
fentanyl.
people could eat 40 Vicodin and live. Because I talked to drug DEA agents that said, yeah, they were taking like 30, 40 Vicodin a day.
Chew them like Pez dispensers.
But what they never did was they never looked at
Give
the
'em an
demands, the demand side.
Right.
They only addressed the supply side,
Right.
and that's why there's no real good comprehensive drug education program in school.
Right.
They've got
yeah, take away the opioids, they go to fentanyl.
exactly.
And they get it for a lot cheaper, and they get it. It's everywhere.
It's just similar to when they took away the alcohol during Prohibition.
Right.
They just got it from another place illegally.
Well, drugs are it's just a mask that people are sad. I mean, I did tons of drugs. Through my 20s, I was followed the Grateful Dead. I saw 350 Grateful Dead
Really?
shows. Oh, yeah. I lived on a commune. I had dreadlocks. I was wild.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, just different.
Yeah.
Freedom of expression.
I was very freely expressed,
A
you
lot
know?
of- a lot of very successful people not a background like you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're lucky you survived it because you didn't overdose, so you didn't get killed by drug cartel.
I was never well, they did show up one time I had to hide in the back of my Jeep and I was at the Warfield in San Francisco and all the hippies knew we better hide Polly Angel because that's my name. And they hid me in the back of my Jeep and they came to the car. This was the Betzner car and they had a walkie-talkie, the whole long trench coat weird thing.
Government or cartel?
I think it was the government because the way their watches were, they wear a certain kind of watch. And so everybody was like, that was definitely not the cartel. That was definitely DEA something.
What do you think they wanted from you if they would have found you?
That was kind of right after Dad started spilling the beans about everything, started writing all the letters to the different newscasters. So I don't know what they would have done to me. I have no idea. But the people I was with, they hid me. So maybe it was a blessing that I was with all those hippies because they knew how to hide,
The hippies are hiding you.
Yep.
Some people are looking for you. Mm-hmm. What did you feel like after they were gone? Did you go oh my God, they know where I'm at, or who are they?
I said, we got to get the heck out of here. And the guy that I was dating looked like it was my first boyfriend. So this is how you know you have daddy issues. He was 11 years older than me, and I was a virgin when I met him.
Right.
And
How old were you?
I was 20,
And he was
31. And he was kind of like a homeless guy. Yeah. Oh my God, my mom was horrified. My poor mother, what I put her through.
Oh my gosh.
And he was like, we got to get out of here. I was like, where are we going to go? I was like, let's go to Hawaii. So we bought a one-way ticket to Hawaii with 20 other hippies, and we went and moved into a park in Hawaii.
How'd you make money to survive?
Well, we sold drugs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Family tradition.
Yeah.
We sold acid. I mean, I sold acid on tour. But then, I got out of that. I was like, I can't sell acid. This isn't cool. Because back then, that's what you did. Berkeley was an acid heaven, and you knew the people that made it, and you could sell it, and you sell a sheet for $300 and you get it for $30 and you mail 10 of them and you make $3,000, and you only have to do that once a month and then you have money. So I didn't do that all the time. I sold
business model.
juice.
That's a good profit margin right there.
I know. I sold grilled cheeses and juice a lot, but I did that a couple times to make money. But when we went to Hawaii, we didn't have any money. So we just lived on the land. We speared fish. We went and collected fruit.
Ate some coconuts.
Lived on the beach. That's all I did. I think I was there 4 or 6 months. No cell phones.
What island?
Big Island.
Oh,
It was before
that's Kona.
No, I was in Kalapana. I was on the Pahoa side.
Okay.
Before Kalapana burned. So it was gorgeous. Before it all burned down, it was like all hippies and the park was beautiful and there was fruit everywhere. And
Just like Lahaina
it was like before.
burning down.
Before, yeah. Before that
Can
happened.
you imagine just eating mangoes, spearing fish?
Yeah,
It's like
it was awesome. I would go get in this thing called the, I'll tell you a really funny story there. Now, I'm not trying to glorify drugs because I'm not into it, but this just shows you how far I've come, like where I am now. Right. So they used to throw away all the weed leaves in Hawaii a long time ago. This is before, this is before legalization. This is before anything. So Hawaii,
Maui
Wowie,
yeah.
Hawaiian Gold, that was a big deal in the 80s. So they would throw all the leaves away in all the garbage dumps all over the city.
who would throw them away?
All the growers. Because they just wanted the buds, right?
Got it.
So they just throw the leaves away. I mean, I'm talking like hundreds of bags worth of, leaves. So we went and collected them in this dump truck. Me and this, homeless-looking guy that my mom called freaking Charles Manson, My poor mom, she's like, oh, my God, how are you dating this guy? Raised you better. So we go and collect all the leaves in this truck, probably like 200 pounds worth of leaves, and we go to this weird hideout in the middle of Hawaii in this house. And I was like, what are we going to do with all these leaves? I mean, I'm not even 21 yet. I'm 20,
Jeez.
And here I am, like with all these convicts. I'm sure they're all convicts.
Right.
I didn't ask for their license
Everybody's
back
on
then.
the dole.
God only knows. I'm sure they were all on the run, And they're like, we're going to stay up for 3 days and we're going to make hash. I was like, well, I don't do cocaine anymore. Like, I left that behind in Newport Beach because that's where we lived, like, for a few years as a kid. I was like, I don't do that anymore. Like, oh, no, we're going to do something better. I was like, what's that? It was this old hippie, from back in the day. And he pulled out, like, a hit of yellow sunshine acid. Like, you know what that is? It's like 25,000 micrograms. You get high on 100, on 100 micrograms of LSD. So this is huge. And he had it from the 60s. I was like, what are we going to do with that? He's like, we're going to cut it in 4, so you're going to stay awake for 3 days. So I was like, fine, I'll do it.
Wow.
So I took a fourth of it, which is basically like eating 100 hits of acid.
Jeez.
I know.
Did you see anything cool?
Is that when you discovered God?
Yeah, sort of. No, I discovered.
Talk to Jesus?
I did talk to Jesus.
Yeah.
But no, back then we went to this place called Millionaire's Pond, and so you had to like jump this fence to get into it, and it's this acre big like warm spring, and the water comes over. Now it's sold and some millionaire owns it or whatever, but back in the day it was like a hippie place to jump the fence and go in.
Right.
And I was like swimming, and then all of a sudden I turned into a frog. And so I was like, ribbit. Like I was convinced. I was like speaking English, like, oh no, she's lost her mind. Like I didn't even want to leave. So they took me out, and I was still like, ribbit. Like the whole time for like 2.5 days, I did not speak English at all. I was just speaking some freaking foreign language.
You're like a furry.
Mainly like a furry. And then we made hash for like 3 days. We stayed up and we made.
How do you make hash?
Well, you have to get the leaves and then you do them over like kind of a fire, over like a cheesecloth, and you grate them so you get all the THC. This is back in the day, THC out.
Yeah.
And then you put the leaves and the alcohol, and isopropyl alcohol, and then you soak them, and then you put them like in this glass container, and you let them go out in the sun so that they bake. And then you add the THC to that, and then the alcohol kind of like evaporates out so that you're just left with like this form, and then you put the THC in there, and then you bake it, and then you have hash. It's pretty scary. It was a lot. It was a lot of hash.
So you make hash out of the leaves?
Out of the leaves.
I thought you made hash out of opium poppies.
No. That's a different hash. No.
I have no idea how to make any of that.
But then when I came back
like...
I came back to the world, I was like, oh my God, I can speak English. Thank you, God. Oh my God. That was the scariest thing.
Were you up? Does it keep you up?
Oh yeah, I was up for like 3 days.
Okay, so
Did
you
you
made
lay
hash as a frog.
Did you lay any eggs? Did you lay any eggs on a leaf?
I don't know
out
what
in the water?
I did. I probably did. I probably did all kinds of crazy stuff in the water. It was freaking hilarious. But God, when I came to, I was like, I need my mom,
Right.
It's like, I need my
You're
mom.
only
I'm losing my
20.
mind. Yeah.
Only 20.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's so young.
Yeah. Well, here's a cool God thing that happened. I went to because there was no cell phones, so I went to the payphone at the supermarket, and I tried to get in touch with my mom. I didn't, so I went to this commune, like, because everybody had a commune back then. So I went to this commune. I was like, I got to get my head together. Like, I got to get away from this guy. He's crazy. Like, I shouldn't be taking acid like that. Turn into a frog. Like, this probably is not good.
Right.
You know? So I'm like, I'm on this farm with all these other hippies, and this girl grabs me. She's like, your mom's looking for you. I was like, what? I mean, this is in Hawaii. She doesn't know my mother.
Right.
She was like, I see your mother sitting on a beach. She described Newport Beach. I got chill bumps. Exactly how Newport looked.
Oh.
She's like, and she's screaming your name for you to come home. I see your mom. She has red hair, which my mom has red hair. She's screaming your name for her to come home. I was like, oh my God. So then I went and called my mom again. And she was like, I was just screaming on the beach for you to come home because
She
I
was
couldn't get in touch with you.
A psychic.
Yeah, I believe she got a word from God. That's what I
She
feel.
was an angel,
Like an
a
angel.
messenger.
A messenger. And I
Call your
immediately
mom.
flew home. I've called my mom. She sent me the money. I flew home the next day. Got rid of the boyfriend, left him there. It was done. And then mom and I had to get out of California because she knew I would never get my life back together. And we opened a map and we went like this together. And that's how we picked Atlanta. And that's where I ended up for like 10 years.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
And what'd you do there?
I thought like I would get out of the drug scene, but I didn't. I was a hippie for a couple years, did the Grateful Dead thing, lived in Athens, which was super fun. And I met my husband to be, and we would go to spring break like you guys used to do, and we would do Panama City, Destin, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Springs, Palm whatever it's called, down in Florida. Palm Beach. Yeah. And we would do the bikini tour. So for spring break, I would do the bikini tour, and I would make like 10 grand. I was like, well, that was easy money for the year.
Right.
And then, you know, he was wild too. He was a lot like my dad. I mean, he was into drugs and stuff. And then I did that, and I was like, well, that was easy money. So I started doing NASCAR, and I did a bunch of stuff for NASCAR, and then I did Snap-on tools, and then I was a dancer for like 2 years. And that's how I paid for college. But it was different then. Like, strippers now, like, is totally different than it was then. You know, I don't know if you know, like now anything goes. But back then they weighed you. It was more like a burlesque show. Like they weighed you. You weren't allowed to bend over. You weren't allowed to chew gum. You weren't allowed to cuss. You weren't allowed to drink.
It's like the Playboy Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tested your blood to see if you did drugs. You weren't allowed to speak to the guys a certain way. You had to stay 3 feet away. You had a bodyguard. It was totally different.
Right.
So I didn't feel like dirty. Like people were like, how could you do that? I didn't really feel like bad about it. I was
Right.
like,
It's a job.
it was a job.
Yeah, it's like a go-go girl.
You made money.
I made money.
Right.
And then I got engaged, and then I quit.
Right. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a good profession if you're married.
No, no, and it's not a good profession if you're engaged. It's not a good profession anyway because
Yeah.
now, especially just women, a lot of women that have daddy issues, you know, they start dancing because they don't feel like they're worthy. Some of them say, oh, it's just for the money, but eventually you sell your soul. Eventually you do something that compromises your values way more than just dancing, and then that's when the line's drawn, and then you think you can keep going and go down this rabbit hole. Before you know it, you're getting paid to have sex. And so I quit before any of that ever happened, thank the Lord. And that's a miracle.
So let's go back to your dad.
Yeah,
So he's trafficking drugs.
yeah.
How much money was he making?
He made $30 million.
Jeez.
And he put all of it into a post office box in Minnesota.
It must have been a big post office box.
Right, right. So he put him. So there was a guy, and his name is Max Pionic. He is in Florida. He is an attorney. He was my dad's attorney, and he told him where the money was.
Oh, no.
And he went to
Bye-bye.
go up there. Said, "I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'll get you out of here." Nothing. He took all,
his money?
took all of it, every penny. I mean, Dad probably exaggerated. There was probably like $10 million in there, but it doesn't matter.
Doesn't
like
matter.
that could have changed my mom's life. My mom never got any child support. She had to do it all on her own. You know, my mom's really successful, but she did it completely with hard work.
$30 million.
$30 million.
In cash.
Yeah. Yeah, I looked that guy up. I made a phone call
Oh,
about 4 or 5 years ago. I made a phone call.
did you find him?
I found him.
Does he have a big house?
He is like one of the largest real estate holders in all of Florida. Yeah.
No.
So he acted like he didn't know me, and then he goes, you know what? I'm just going to say this one time. Don't you ever call me again. Whatever you're looking to find with peace with your father, I go, I don't want any money from you. I just want to know if my dad's lying. I just want to know if he actually put money away for me and, you know, his kids. I just need to know. Like, I don't want anything from you. It'd be cool if you'd give it to me, but, like, that's not why I'm calling you. I just need to know if he's a liar for my own peace. It's before I wrote the book.
Right.
And he was like, well, I'm not going to say yes or no, but I'm going to say, you sound like a nice lady. You need to stay in your lane. And don't you ever call me again. And whoever your dad is, he's a blah, blah, bleep, 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 bleep. And goodbye.
That was it.
So I knew he knew.
Yeah.
I knew he knew.
Was that a good chapter to close in your life? Like, just, okay. So my
Yeah.
dad did try to take care of us, but
Yeah.
he got ripped off.
Yep.
At the end of the day, he was going to give you something.
Yeah. But it's blood money, you know?
Right.
It's really
Yes.
blood money in the end.
Yeah, it's evil money.
It is evil money.
Right.
I don't really.
You feel bad spending it.
Yeah, you can't do
Right.
that.
No.
I mean, it sounds like great. Oh yeah, no, somebody had to suffer for that money.
Yeah, a lot of people suffer for that.
A lot
money.
of people suffered for that money.
A lot of
So
people died for that money.
a lot of people are dead from that money.
Right.
So I'm glad that he took it, honestly, because it's cursed money.
How much time did your dad do?
12 years.
12 years? It's
Yeah.
not bad for 30 mil.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. 12. He did 12 years in federal prison. So he went to like Arizona. So everywhere he went, he wore like a jumpsuit and he got to play golf, like, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, country club.
Except for Memphis. Now, Memphis was hard. Michigan was hard. But like Florida was not so hard. Arizona was not so hard.
Did you
He was in
visit him
San
in
Diego.
prison? Oh, he's at the Metropolitan.
He was
Correctional
there.
Center?
That's a pretty weird looking place.
Yeah,
it's
that
a-
is a word.
it's an
A
office
really weird looking
building.
place.
Well,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like a prison.
It does not look like a prison.
And it's surrounded by a bunch of condos, high-end condos.
Oh, yeah.
And law
Oh, yeah.
firms.
Most
I
people
know.
don't even, when you're filling a condo in downtown San Diego, they go, are you within a certain radius of a prison? It's a disclosure.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people put county jail, but they forget Metropolitan Correctional Center.
Right.
Yeah, it's a
Because
federal.
it just looks like a building.
It does. He was always asking. When I went to visit him, I was like, "Dad, how are you going to escape out of this one?" He goes, "The walls are so thick. Like, I can't even get a jackhammer through there. Like, there's no hammer that could go through those walls. I guess they're like 3 or 4 feet
That
thick.
you're not getting out.
And they're still enforced inside the building itself. Like, if we ever have a giant earthquake, that freaking building's going to be standing. You know,
So the only people
all
survive.
the prisoners are going to survive.
all the prisoners are going to survive, just like Haiti. You know,
Repopular.
that's an awful thing.
Wow. Did you ever see those? Did you ever see any cocaine he was delivering?
No.
Okay, so you never gone on a plane with him?
No, I know I flew when I was little, like when he was crop dusting, like
Right.
little, but he wasn't into drugs or anything
Right.
yet. So I never saw any of that. Like honestly, my mom really tried to keep me protected from a lot of stuff. I said, "Why did you take me to go visit him in prison?" She said, "I just wanted you to have something from your dad." And I don't really know if crumbs from my dad was such a good thing, really,
Right.
because I never walked away feeling like
Satisfied.
satisfied.
Right.
I just ended up feeling like, what's wrong with me still?
Right.
You know?
Brought back
So you're-
the issues.
So let's go to 2020, and we're watching TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're like, hey, this thing's coming around. What is this, COVID? And then you're seeing pictures of people eating a bat and a pagladang or whatever the hell that animal is.
Yeah.
And, you ate one of those, and you're thinking, man, why are those people eating bats and these weird things that look like armadillos? And there's this virus. And now we're shut down. So you're sitting there. Mm-hmm. And what motivated you to write a book?
Well, my husband was so busy. I mean, he's an entrepreneur, right? So he just wanted to like sell hand sanitizer. That was his thing. He was like, I'm going to make millions of dollars on face mask and hand sanitizer and all this stuff.
Did
he? No. Nobody really made money on this stuff. Some people made some good money on it.
Government made the money.
But there were some people that, knew how to move it around and do this. He made some money on some stuff, but he didn't make any money on that. And I was like, well, he's just on the phone all day. I've been needing to write this book for 20 years. I'm just going to start,
Did
And
you
I just-
physically write it, or did you dictate it into a phone? Or how'd you do it?
I did it kind of old school. So I bought a notebook, and I had 17 of the like chapter things in there. I put notebook paper in each one. Then I went and collected all my journals from over the years, and then I went and collected all my photo albums, and I put them all in chronological order. And then I would just wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh, this should be like in this part of the book, and this should be in this part of the book. And it just kind of like was divine,
So you're very well organized.
I'm very well organized. And then I would dictate. I would write bullet points, and then I would just go talk to text on my phone, and then I would email that to myself, and I would
smart.
put it
Cut
into
and
Word,
paste. Right.
and then I would just fix
bit of
it.
time.
And before I knew it, in 8 months, the book was done.
Did you enjoy the process?
It was really like lethargic. Is that the word? Like when you really like your guts come out. Like
Right.
I cried a lot.
Wow.
Like I cried a lot. And it was healing because
Yeah,
I got
get
to
therapy.
I got
Get
to
it
really
out.
yeah, and I have a picture of myself actually. It's not in there, but on my phone of after I wrote the first book. This is the second one. The first book that I wrote, unfortunately, I believe my publisher was dishonest about, and so I'd never received a penny from the first one. So that's why this is You Got Daddy Issues instead of Daddy Issues.
Got it.
Because there's a lot of books out there called Daddy Issues, and I never received $1 for my first book. So this got republished just recently. But
Is it the same book?
it's the exact same book. It's just better wording and it's edited better. But on the first book, I went to go see my dad, and I said, Dad, I need your blessing for this book. Like before it really comes out. So it had been printed. I hadn't launched it yet. And he was like, why should I bless this book? Because the first page it says dedicated to the survivors of a narcissistic parent. And so he goes, am I a narcissist? I go, are you freaking shitting me? Of course you're a narcissist. You're like the biggest narcissist I've ever met. I said, but I love you, Dad. And I forgive you for everything. Like, I'm sorry you had to go through what you went through in your life because I'm sure that wouldn't have been the life you chose, you know? And he was like, well, why should I let you write this book and give you my blessing? I said, well, you can go down in history as a man that abandoned your family because I have, 3 half siblings, but I have 4 siblings that showed up through Ancestry DNA the past 7 years that my dad didn't know about before my mom. I go, you have all these kids you didn't really raise, and you weren't really there for them. You made all this money that you blew, that all these women didn't get any money from it. I said, or you can, and you can be the largest drug smuggler in history, or you can go down as a man that allowed the story to be told of your failures and your successes to help heal little girls like me. That's the difference. You get to choose what your legacy wants to be. He's like, I'll choose the second one. It was awesome,
So when your dad got popped by the government, I mean, that's who really busted him, but he was working for the government.
Yeah.
What kind of deal did they cut him? I mean, it seems like
12 years.
They didn't cut him any deal. They thought 12 years was a good deal. The thing that's really sucky about
it could have been life.
It could have been
That
life.
amount.
Well, yeah. Well, the suckiest thing is
more than 12 years.
when everything came out that he actually was hired by the government with the Iran-Contra scandal and they were involved, like I thought they would have done a plea deal just to get him out.
Right.
He spent another 8 years after that. Nothing. Didn't let him out.
So he did a total of 20?
12. So he was
12,
in for
okay.
4, and then the scandal came out, and he got to tell everything, and then he did an additional 8 years.
He didn't.
Or
get
they
out?
added 8 years after he
He
started talking?
still stayed in there. He thought they would immediately let him out. Nothing.
No, they put a lot of people in prison because of that.
Yeah. What did they?
I think so.
No. Oliver North didn't go to prison. Nobody went to prison. He just got a hand slap. Nobody went to prison.
Just your dad? Mm-hmm. Of everybody involved, he's the only one
Oliver
who did
North got a
time?
TV show.
And George Morales, he went to prison, but that's
Came
it.
back.
That's it.
Yeah, he did that military show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oliver North. Like he's,
No, it was just like
Ollie, they call him Ollie North.
Yeah, Ollie.
And the show that came out, The Invisible Pilot, Adam McKay did that, which he did Don't Look Up and all these other things. Well, I believe, maybe this is a conspiracy theory, that when it came out, because it came out in 2022, it should have been way bigger. Should have been a way bigger show, but it really wasn't. Like, it hardly got any media.
Did your dad
anything.
ever meet Oliver North?
No, he did not.
Did he meet anybody from the military?
He met John Hull, which is the guy in Costa Rica who worked for the government, who was like a spy or whatever in Costa Rica. He met him.
What kind of plane was he using?
I think a Cessna.
Did they buy that for him, or was it his?
Oh, he had his own.
He had his own.
Yeah, had his own. He had a few planes. Yeah.
So how long
wild?
how long did he work for the CIA? How many years?
I think 3 years.
3 years.
3 or 4 years. Yeah.
And then they got popped for that. Oliver North starting to get congressional hearings, and that's when they threw that guy in prison. Make sure he doesn't flip.
Are you on good terms with your dad now?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So if you called him right now, he'd pick up?
I called yesterday to see how they're doing, and they didn't answer.
He must be in his 80s now.
He's 83,
Yeah.
and he's like
He's our dad's
he's
age.
like
Still
tough.
in good shape?
Oh my God, his wife is great. She's younger than I am,
Yeah.
and he loves her. I mean, he's ornery, but he's like he had open heart surgery at 80. he had a testosterone pump in his chest, so like he could have sex still with his wife.
He's all buffed out.
He's all like,
Yeah.
well, he was in really good shape.
Hey,
He's
Mark,
okay now.
Google testosterone pump for later. I mean,
Yeah, Mark.
You're gonna
might
get
be-
that
might be-
testosterone pump in your
let
chest.
me look into that.
Oh my God! You just like hit the button. It's kind of
Exactly.
like it's kind of like kicks those shoes. You
Yeah,
just
just
like pump up your shoe. You can just
instant
pump
muscles.
up your other parts. You know.
Start hearing that. Time to go. Come on.
Mark's gonna.
Yeah.
Harley, I'm embarrassed. I got to get out of here now.
Hold on, honey.
So, okay, so give us a story about your father that you can tell and no one knows.
Give us a story that.
Oh, okay. I tell you a cool
Good.
story.
There you go.
So my dad really wanted to get my mom pregnant. Right after this is
Sounds
so
like
he
a
might
cool guy.
he might be a little cuckoo, but he's cool though. You know,
Yeah.
like he is larger than life.
Well, he's an entrepreneur.
He is an
He
entrepreneur.
got balls of steel.
And he will
flying
set
a
it straight.
plane.
He will set you straight. He will
Right.
tell you, like, he lies about some stuff, but when it comes to certain things, like, he'll tell you straight how it is. He'll say, "You're ugly. I don't like you." You know, he's
Right.
straight.
Right. Straight shooter.
He wanted to get my mom pregnant. So after they did the deed, he literally picked my mom up and held her by the feet and shook her like this to make sure that like the sperm got down in there
Right.
and like
Helping the sperm.
got my mom pregnant. I was like, "Mom, that's what happened. I was like born upside down. Like I was conceived upside down, you
Oh,
know?"
that's what they do for you?
Yeah.
And then she got pregnant with
Yeah.
you? Wow.
Yeah.
He's strong. I wasn't that strong, so I just put my wife on one of those tilt machines and spun her over by those inversion
Wait,
boots.
did you really?
No, I'm just
Oh my
kidding.
God, that's a good idea though.
Make him do it.
Hey, maybe we should sell that.
Hey, this is great.
Inversion boots for pregnancy.
Yeah, like infertility. These are infertility
Done.
things. It just
Spin them
work-
upside down.
It works.
They might get a stroke, but they might get pregnant. Their head explodes.
Wake up your sperm.
Why do I get a bloody nose every time I'm finished with sex? Like you're hanging upside down for 45 minutes.
Oh my God! So that's a funny. Let me tell you
I didn't
another
get
funny
pregnant, but
story.
my back feels great.
Let me see if I can tell you another funny story.
Yeah, it seems
How
like-
did you not get arrested?
Oh, for the acid thing?
For selling drugs. I mean, you're out there cruising around. You're essentially.
It was a long time ago,
never
and I
been
would
in a-
have somebody mail it. I didn't mail it, but I would like give it to somebody else to mail.
I mean, today you'd get popped in a second, but back then there was no communications. There was no cell phones.
You just like go to
No
a payphone,
cameras.
you get an
Right.
address,
Drop
where do
a
I send
dime.
it? And then they Western Union you the money, and then
That's it?
they Western Union the money, and then you mail it to them. Just do the mail.
So Hollywood actually.
Back a long time. I didn't do it very much, so I didn't like make a whole bunch of money, but enough to go here and there.
Hollywood made a story about your father.
So Born in America was not about my dad.
Okay, so but it wasn't about your dad.
No,
Okay.
it was, but they did the wrong thing.
Right.
Like,
Well,
They changed it.
They just
Yeah.
changed it.
They
I mean,
changed it.
Hollywood can't tell the entire story because it's boring.
No.
Like you got a couple good things happening, so
Yeah.
Hollywood has to change it up.
Yeah.
But what was that movie called?
Born in America
Okay, so I can watch that.
with Tom Cruise.
Oh, with Tom
And
Cruise.
they said
Oh,
Barry.
yeah.
They said Barry Seals was the one involved with
yeah.
it. Now he might have done Mina. My father was not involved with Mina in Arkansas at all. I mean, he might have. I don't
Who's
know.
Mima?
Mina is a town in Arkansas that the Clintons kind of like ran, and they ran drugs in and out of. I mean, if you do your underground research, you can find out all that kind of stuff. But so that story was called Born in America. And it was supposed to be about the Iran-Contra scandal. But Barry Seals had nothing to do with the Iran-Contra scandal. That was all my dad and George Morales. And then there's Blow. That's sort of like my dad's story too,
One
sort
of my favorite movies.
Yeah. Blow.
Blow, yeah.
It's
good
sort
with,
of the
what's
same.
his name? The guy was on
Johnny Depp.
Johnny
Johnny
Depp.
Depp.
Yeah. It's
Have
sort
you
of.
seen that?
No.
Oh my God, you got to
You
see
should
that.
see
It's
it.
about a cocaine guy.
Yeah.
Daughter, he had daughter. It's almost
Yeah.
similar.
Very similar.
Yeah, he ends up in prison, and
Yeah.
it's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Just remembered.
It was a good movie.
Yeah. So depressing because you
Yeah.
see how they are, and then they just lose everything.
Yep.
But the worst thing you lose is that connection with your family.
Yeah.
You can't see your daughter
Yeah.
growing up.
Yeah.
And then even when he got out, he just screwed up again.
And my dad has screwed up since he got out of jail. Like, like he went back to his ex-wife. Like, I didn't really have a lot of contact with him. He's really into this guy named Miraji, and he would always try to cram it down my throat. So he would tell me I was stupid.
Miraji?
Yeah.
What's Miraji?
It's some like guru guy that's supposed to help you find inner peace inside yourself. And there's like
Find
this,
inner peace. You're stupid.
But like if I didn't listen to Miraji when he would play the tapes for me, he's just a nice Indian guy that gives good advice.
Right.
Is he
you know?
the guy who has YouTube clips?
I'm sure he
Video?
has all kinds of stuff.
He must be on
But
YouTube.
he gives you something called knowledge.
Does he have a beard and like?
Oh no,
fuzzy-
that guy's cool. No,
You know
he's
what
a
I'm
Christian
talking
guy.
about?
Yeah, Sadi.
Yeah.
He's cool.
Yeah, he's like-
I like that guy. He's cool.
He gives good advice.
He's cool.
He has
But
really
this
good
guy's
stories.
different.
Right.
He's like a comedian.
Yeah, he's funny.
This guy gives what's called knowledge. And so because I didn't want to receive knowledge, my dad had a lot of anger for me about that. So he would just tell me how stupid I was and I was an idiot and I was the dumb kid. I mean, he
Your
used to-
dad would tell you that?
when I would
Ours
call him,
No wonder you have daddy issues.
be like really mean to me. So he just got over all those things because we don't discuss that subject anymore. I said, Dad, I respect that gave you peace. I'm glad. But you don't need to, put me down because I'm not into that.
Right.
And
So
so,
your dad is more into like being a yogi as opposed to a Christian?
he kind of was into that. Yeah. But
like
he
Paramahansa Yogananda, Mahatma Gandhi,
kinda-
Babaji.
the whole thing. Yeah. He's like that. Like we've talked about Jesus and depths, and he's like, he'll get it for a second and then he'll go right back to his other thing.
Right.
But I said, Dad, when you talk about the other thing, I don't see any peace in your face.
Right.
So where's the fruit?
Our,
Where's the fruit? If it gives you peace, where's the fruit?
our
You
dad
know?
tried that. He used to say, "Boys, you got your self-destruct button taped down." In text. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Did he really?
Oh, constantly.
Oh,
We were wild as
I was wild too.
like wild.
Yeah,
We're
but
not
we
gonna
made it.
We're not going to share any of those stories, but
We made it.
you have
we
your
made
brain and your ass wired together. You better get your shit wired tight.
Well, it didn't
remember
say
when I
your
was-
brain and your other part wire together.
I remember when he said that. I was a kid,
Yeah.
and I was thinking like,
I was looking for. I was.
is there a wire that goes to my brain from my ass really and it's reversed? Like maybe
We
I'm
take your
wired
shirt
wrong? Like,
off.
I didn't.
We're
I
like,
didn't-
where's that button?
Right.
Where's that button?
just where the testosterone pump button
my
is. It's
God.
in the same place.
He would say stuff like this, "Boys, I'm gonna blister your ass."
Yeah.
Wait, where are y'all from originally?
My dad was from Big Spring, Texas.
Oh,
He goes,
yeah.
He goes, "I'm about to cloud up and rain all over you." We're like, "Holy shit, we're getting our asses
I'll
kicked."
kick your ass kick your ass through your shoulder blades.
I'll kick your ass between your shoulder blades.
Or
I
like
didn't
I'm
even
about
know-
to open up a can of,
Oh,
Whoop ass.
yeah, of
No, but I
course.
didn't even know what shoulder blades were. We're kids. I'm like, kick my ass between my shoulder blades. What
Yeah.
what are blades?
He had a million
Yeah,
different.
but that was a Texas.
that was
thing.
just Texan.
Is your
Yeah.
dad still alive?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's still
yeah.
alive.
Is he lives here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He lives in California?
yeah. he
Does
lives-
he like it better than Texas?
I don't know. I think so.
He left a long time.
Yeah, he joined the military when he was 17 and a half.
No.
Oh my gosh.
So he
and,
left Texas.
And your mom is there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
your mom's in Texas?
No,
No.
she's here in San
Oh,
Diego.
They're
that's
still
cool.
married. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
My mom's here too. She's awesome.
Yeah.
They're older, bad knees.
Bad
You know?
knees. Yeah, my mom's going through the bad knee
Yeah,
thing.
Right.
they all got bad knees, but they don't want to do the surgery because they don't want to die on the table.
Yeah.
So they just do cortisone every 3 months.
Yeah, my mom does the same thing.
We grew up the same era.
Yeah,
That's what they
but
do.
She's going to some doctor here in San Diego. Supposed to be the number one. We'll talk about it. Number one knee doctor. She has an appointment next week.
To put that weird jelly in there that
So,
makes.
no, they already did that. That doesn't work.
Oh.
And the PRP didn't work. To go and see if she's a candidate to get a total knee replacement.
She probably is, but
I
it's the
said
anesthetic and all the other stuff that.
she's got a great heart. She's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Better than her life sucking, not being
Right.
able to walk.
Right.
My mom, like,
That's
the
how-
mayor of Point Loma, pretty much. I mean, she like goes to the lot. Everybody loves her. Like, she's on the board at Point Loma. She's just like, she needs to be out there every day.
That's right.
When did you start getting into real estate?
I got my license 20 years ago.
20 years
So
ago?
when I was 35, almost 35. Yeah, that was 20 years ago.
And you're still doing it.
Still doing it.
What's the name of your company?
It's Premier Realty.
And if people wanted to get a hold of you, how could they get a hold of you?
PollySellsSanDiego.com.
So spell that.
PollySellsSandiego.com.
Do you want to give out a?
PollySellsSanDiego.com.
Do you want to
Yeah.
give a phone number or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my phone number is 619-804-8566.
And hopefully the drug cartel is not following you anymore,
Yeah.
so they're not going to use that phone number to call
No,
you.
I
right? Yeah,
love.
you're
Listen,
cool with
real
that?
estate's fun. I love my what I thought I wanted to do. God always has different plans. As I thought, like I would really do really well with real estate and sell a bunch of houses because I don't teach school anymore. I was a teacher for a long time,
Right.
and then that would fund me being able to do book tour.
Right.
But like I've just been waiting on the right doors to open for a book tour. I've put out like plugs of different places I want to go and speak, but like they haven't like come to fruition yet. One place has in Connecticut, and then hopefully I'm going to get to go back to Memphis.
Well, listen, we want to promote you, so
Thank you.
Here you go. Let's see this again, and this is why I'm telling you this because if I saw a book that's called Daddy Issues, I'm not getting it. I'm just not into it in Espanol. But if you know that Daddy Issues comes from being the daughter of the biggest drug dealer in U.S. history, read this book because it is filled with really good stories.
You can
So I
show me the back,
recommend that.
too.
I'll show you the back. Okay, here we go.
And then that's the movie.
So here's the movie. So check that out on YouTube. Can you go on
It's
YouTube?
no, The Invisible
Netflix?
Pilot's on Hulu and HBO, and I think it just dropped on Netflix.
All right. Well, listen, from your background, from your
Yeah.
daddy issues, from what you did in life,
Yeah.
you're an inspiration to a lot of people that have similar stories. Not that their father's a #1 drug cartel, but females and males with issues and saying, hey, how do I get through this? And you got through it all.
Yeah.
And then at the end, your message is so good.
Oh,
So
thank you.
I want our viewers to know that if you're having problems out there, don't give up hope. Believe in God or have something to believe in, and never give up. And you're a perfect example. So I'm really honored to have interviewed
Very
you. Thank you
honored.
so
Thank
much.
you so
You're
much.
so
All right.
sweet.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right,
Thank
that's
you
a
so
You
wrap,
guys are
guys.
the best.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Remember to push that like button and subscribe to our show. And what does that mean? What's that?
That means push the like button.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you said push
That's
the
not
like
the-
button.
that's not
Well,
this
think-
button.
I got camera one, and you're like pushing the button.
Well, you said push the like. I just
Okay.
went on automatic. I started pushing the button.
Y'all
Now
are
you got to
so
push the button.
Push the button.
And subscribe to our show just to let you know because you should know. Thanks a lot. This is Powell Brothers signing off.
Thanks.
Hi.